morning. It's Friday morning and we're just chit-chatting. It's a beautiful day in Calgary. I can really feel that winter is left and it better not come back. It's okay. I do like winter. I keep joking, but I am ready for summer. I'm actually looking at booking some camping, little holidays here and there. So, yeah, it's Friday. It's beautiful and we have an amazing guest with us today. We're going to be talking about the Mary Magdalene pilgrimage. Fascinating to me. But before we do that, I'm going to bring up my partner in crime, our national corporate sponsor from Seeger Consulting, Nancy Seeger. Hi, Nancy.
Good morning, everybody. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. It's Friday, the sun's shining, and we got an exciting guest today.
I know. She is so beautiful. Now, have you ever done any kind of pilgrimage?
No.
I'm afraid if I go that direction, they'll just never let me out again, and I'm going straight to hell. Actually, it's been funny. My mother-in-law had joked with me at once. She's passed now, but I had to carry the cross at my grandmother's funeral. You know, the big tall cross in front of the priest, and that was my job. And I was a puddle. Oh my gosh, I loved my grandma so much. Like, I still miss her. She was just the most beautiful woman, extremely religious, went to church every single day of her life. And as a younger woman, went twice a day. But her and I had an incredible connection. So you can't imagine my mother-in-law, when we talked about this, that I was doing this, she started laughing and she said to my wife, "Be careful she doesn't get hit by lightning." So it's a joke, right? So down I am going down the church and towards the, with the everybody behind me, there's hundreds of people and I'm crying and I'm laughing and I'm crying and I'm laughing. There's always so many emotions around religion, whether you're religious or not.
Yes, exactly. I mean, my family, my kids in particular, were raised in the Catholic Church. So that's why I kind of hesitated around the pilgrimage. It's like, okay, I've done the way of the cross. I've done all the Catholic things. I ran, if you're Catholic, you'll get this. I ran the decorating and set up for the church for like 15 years. My boys taught children's liturgy. We were like enmeshed in the Catholic Church endlessly. Did the way of the cross, carrying the cross, the big old heavy thing with a bunch of us, and, doing those small pilgrimages, and I have to say, I'm not as much of a current fan of organized religion as I used to be. I'm more into spirituality as it is than I am religion as I get older. And so are my boys. But it's a very sensitive thing. It can be a very emotional thing. It is a very powerful thing to understand and believe in something higher power, no matter what that higher power is, and also that feeling of belonging and community, which I don't think the average person experiences outside of, I'm going to say, religion or team sports.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It's really true. Really
true. I think so.
So let's bring the expert on board. Because Ariana is our pilgrimage expert. She's just so amazing. So let's bring her on board. Hi, Ariana. Were you listening to our chit-chatting?
I was totally listening, and I totally agree with Nancy. Is that in our society, we've lost that connection, that community. And I myself was like so anti-religious, as started Anglican, and then my sister was born again. And so then I went, not for me. And then all of a sudden I'm on the board of Unity Spiritual Community. So go figure where we're going to end up in our lives.
Yeah. But so tell us, Sunday, just so people know who you are before we go any further, could you please tell us a little bit about you? So Ariana Brackenbury. Did I say it right?
Yes. Brackenbury.
Yes. Sometimes names are, I think. And so tell us a little bit about you, like a quick 1 minute.
Okay, well, the quick 1 minute is I'm a recovering computer programmer who, at the age of 60, got slam dunked by the universe and pretty much ended up losing my home, my savings, long story, but starting over at 60. So at 60, I made this illogical, not computer programming decision to go up on a 100-day journey to Ireland, Spain, and Bali and walk the Santiago pilgrimage in Spain. So that's kind of the shifting in my life. And I think we all go through these transition points. And sometimes spirit slam dunks us. So we have no choice. Okay, we're waiting for you here somewhere. So that's what ended up taking me off into a new journey of starting a pilgrimage company.
That is so cool. So you've done the Camino.
I have done 3 times the full Camino and 10 total journeys, partly different areas and things like that. Yes.
So was that recently? Because where I'm going with this is I would never think that I can do the Camino because I'm not fit enough.
Well, it was so funny because when I decided to go, I was exhausted from all the stress of kind of that period in my life. I was overweight. I'd never hiked. I didn't speak Spanish. And it's just fine. Pretty much you can see, I took a 91-year-old on the Camino. So seriously, it's not, it's a question of tuning in to the body and letting go of thinking that you have to follow the guidebook exactly. Like you can break it down into whatever segments work for you. But it's just like an elephant, like the phrase of how do you eat an elephant 1 spoon at a time? So how do you walk the Camino 1 step at a time? It's just like, it seems insurmountable, but when you break it by days, it's not.
I just think like it's very intriguing to me. So do most people that do a pilgrimage are religious? Are you usually a religious person?
I think that originally pilgrimage was designed in that mode, like it was sort of associated with a spiritual religious thing. Certainly Camino de Santiago originally has St. James at the end. So this walking to this point. But I think for me, the most part is it's an inner journey to one's own self. It is a spiritual journey for me, much more than a religious, but I think the population of who's walking now tends to be more away from the pure Catholic kind of going to Mecca kind of thing. And I think it's just anyone that's in a transition point that really wants to get some clarity and hit the pause button on their life. As you know, like the craziness of our lives where we're booking appointments across city during rush hour, we don't really seem to get a time to breathe and to tune in.
So now your latest that you're working on and going to go do, I don't know if you've done it before, is the Mary Magdalene pilgrimage. So tell me about that. How is that different than the Camino?
Well, it's substantially different, actually, because this particular pilgrimage is not a walking pilgrimage, but it's a visiting of the sites that Mary Magdalene is connected to in France. And if you go to France, you'll see all these Églises de la Madeleine, and they're very deeply connected to her energy. And I think for me, what happens on the planet right now is we are in a time of great divide. As everyone knows, there's just so much of the kind of the dark side appearing. And we're really, for me, the Mary Magdalene is really around helping people come into that deeper connection to the divine feminine, so we can begin to heal this great divide that's happened between the masculine and the feminine. So it's more, we're visiting sacred sites, we're traveling around different areas of France, and we start in Paris and go to Chartres and the cathedral there. And
it is so calling me. One, obviously I'm French. 2, Madeleine is my mother's name.
Oh, really?
And we've always laughed because I don't know if they have it in English, but in French there's an expression, the crying Madeleine, because she cried at Jesus' feet and all that. So my mom is a big crier. Like she cries at everything. She cries when she's happy. She cries when she's sad. She cries when I go on holidays.
I do too.
So we've always laughed, saying it's the perfect name for her. So how does that look like if somebody wanted to participate?
Well, essentially, first of all, they could go to the website, marymagdalenepilgrimages.com. But if somebody wants to participate, they actually have to talk to me, because for me, it's a very intimate journey, and we're actually maximum 12 people. We have we're 14 total with 4 guides. So we actually have a labyrinth facilitator with us, a Thai massage person that does actually meditation, and then I have my cohort, Saria, who is my second in command, who's going to help me with all the logistics. And she's a healer and works at Xenia Resort Center in on the island. And so we have 4 lovely women who are connecting to 8 participants. So really, it's important that everyone has a look at the website and checks to see if it resonates, and then connects with me, and we'll have a conversation to see if it's really going to be something that would be good for them.
So can they reach you from the website?
Yes, they can. There's actually contact form on there, or they can reach me through Facebook.
Facebook, yeah. And we actually have the I just showed the website here, and we also it is in the comments below. So anybody that wants to get a hold of Ariana, here's the website, and you just go in the comments below and reach out. What do you like most about doing pilgrimage? Like what does it do for you?
Well, I think Mary Magdalene is a completely, it's almost like a different totally from the walking pilgrimage. So for me, the Mary Magdalene actually is the opportunity to come into circle, to connect into conversations directly about what did you experience today and what's coming up for you and what's healing. So when we walk the labyrinth, for example, in Chartres, we will have a labyrinth facilitator who knows the intricacies of actually walking a labyrinth in the best possible way, because many people don't really know how to do that. And I think that what I love being in circle. I love these conversations. Even this conversation is just that point of how do we connect to each other? Because we've seemed like we've lost that ability in our lives today to a certain extent of really sitting and just talking about spiritual subjects, about what is life all about, that kind of thing.
And my opinion, I just want to say the one thing about this is that everybody's trying to prove their points instead of listening.
Mm.
There's so many different religions and not religious and this. So everybody's arguing, but nobody's really listening. That's what it feels like to me sometimes. Like you're right or you're wrong, or it's like, just listen. And that's your journey, your thought. And I just should listen and respect it.
I think it's true. And even on Mary Magdalene, there will be very many different perspectives of who she is as a woman and why she's important right now on the planet. And there's so many books written, and there's channel books, and there's all this information, most of which we have to tune into inner judgment to see, does this resonate or feel right? Because just because it's channeled or just because it's in a book doesn't mean it's true. So really the whole thing of the same as you're talking about is really, why don't we just let go of our perceptions or expectations and be open to a journey that perhaps might shift things, but you don't need to. Like, it's like nobody in that trip will totally 100% agree on all the truth of what it is. And so it's just having that sense of, let's just be in the journey, feel her energy, tune into the energy of the places we're visiting, and go from there.
So
that's your, go ahead, Nancy.
Ariana, I just want to clarify a couple things. First, can you tell us when your next trip is planned so people have a timeline? And secondly, you made an interesting comment early on about tapping into the feminine power of it and how this trip is a good place in timing wise. And I'd love to hear you expand on that a little bit.
Okay, well, the trip is actually leaving on the 30th of April, and we're back on finishing in Toulouse on 15th of May. So it's 15 days.
Do you still have room?
I still have some space. It's limited spaces are left, but I certainly would love to talk to anybody that might be resonating. Nancy, in terms of the feminine, so my image of Mary Magdalene is really this woman who supported Jesus at the highest level. When we think about who was at the crucifixion, actually there, mm-hmm. and not hiding, was the women, Mother Mary. Mary Magdalene, Mary Salome, and they were the ones. Can you even begin to imagine? I get teary every time I think about it. Of watching, okay, now I'm going to cry. Having the courage to stand and hold space for this beloved, whether it's a child or the partner, the deep, I believe that Mary Magdalene and Jesus were partners and that she supported his journey in the deepest way. And to stand there and hold space for that is beyond anybody's comprehension of what it would be like. So her energy as a woman was so powerful. She was considered the apostle to the apostles at the beginning, but then there was this master story that came into religion, which you've both experienced in the Catholic Church, which is very male dominated. And they actually,
eliminated the women
to some degree. And it was her sadness, I think, in that point that all that they had done seemed to be going for naught. But here she is. She went to the south of France. She had her ministry there. The French lover. She was put in as a church as a prostitute, and which has now been taken back. So it's an interesting journey of how the masculine kind of took and let go of the teachings of Jesus and made it not what he really was, frankly, because he was really about love. So I think that for me, that's the big thing. So when we go into the south of France, she came ashore, according to legend, I'm going to say 100%, that she came ashore in a place called Saint Marie de la Mer. And there's a long story there. So it's just to know that from there, we're going to visit where she came ashore, where she's reputed to have spent her last days in a cave in Saint Maximum de la Baume. And then we're going to follow her trail across. So she was connected into the Cathar. She was in a scene, in my belief, which is an early Christian early community of people that were very much connected to living in a community where people supported each other. And it was this kindness, that's what Jesus really represents to me, is this community and loving kindness and everybody working together. And then the Cathar religion, which is also sort of like connected into that energetically, we're visiting many places where the Catholic Church massacred thousands and thousands of people in the Albigensian Crusade. And so it's a healing time. It's a time to go in and we're healing. How many women were burned as witches? How many women are still carrying that and have lost their voices because, like Mary Magdalene, really kind of lost her voice in the sense of having that influence. And where are we going now on the planet where it's not, for me, it's not about men versus women. It's about that we're all here to join together to create this planet in a loving way. And we can't do that by saying one group is, it's just, we can't do that by making it into this struggle between masculine and feminine, which is so powerful on the planet today.
Okay, I must say that you have really touched me. Like, seriously, the thought of Mary at the bottom of the cross watching the man that she loved, it's just, wow. I've never looked at it from that angle before. And it's a very interesting conversation and how women were really eliminated from all this. And do you feel that it's really all coming back? Like people, there's a shift happening?
Well, what I feel like right now is her presence is very powerful on the planet. So, and I have my own spiritual beliefs and it may not really resonate with everybody on the call, but my sense is I am a very spiritual person, and all the energy of her energy right now as an ascended master, she's now considered a saint in the church now that they know that everybody loves her. It's like now she's been brought into July 22nd is her saint day. So for me, her energy is what we need on the planet today. And I think she held space. And like you say, any of us that have a partner that we adore, to watch them in that state, I don't think anybody's ever really shared it at that level, or even Mother Mary watching her son.
Yeah.
It's not just Mary. I believe there was actually a Magdalene, like it's not just one person. The Magdalene energy is actually much larger than that. And Many people women are being drawn to it. I actually phoned some of my friends, and one of my friends in BC said, "Oh, I've been reading about her for years." So it's not just women that would be attracted to this type of journey. I think there's so many men on the planet right now that are conscious, that are feeling that energy, and they want to make a difference as well and work on the healing process.
Yeah, and I never think it's man versus women. I think it's the feminine, masculine energy, and obviously women have a bit more of the feminine, but yeah, it's and more feminine, loving, nurturing energy is needed.
Well, I think it's also, I have one of my pet things is my kind of on my little horse with whatever is, when we get rid of our languaging around how the brain works and saying that a left brain is a masculine thing and the right brain is feminine, which is bullshit. Sorry on the call, but
I love it.
It's just a way of processing. It's not masculine or feminine, because so many women are the first programmers, computer programmers were all women. So this whole concept that left brain is masculine, I think that's what I'd like to break down. It's just a way of thinking. We all work with this kind of continuum where sometimes we're in the full feminine and sometimes we're in the, logical. Actually, that's interesting, because see how programmed that is? So sometimes we're in full creativity, and then sometimes we're in our logical side. But the two mesh together, and one is not better than the other. And I think if we could just get rid of calling things masculine and feminine, that would do a great deal into shifting things on the planet.
I love it. Well, thank you. That was a fabulous conversation. So again, if anyone, actually, I wanted to share this. Bonnie Earl is saying that this looks like a really healing and restorative journey. And it does sound like that to me as well. I wish I could go. I really, really wish I could go. I don't know. It's kind of calling me right now. Again, so if you would like to join Ariana, she does have a couple of spots left. Here is her website, and you can get a hold of her through Facebook as well. Thank you, Ariana. That was fascinating. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit. Nancy is our organizer of when you want to host event and marketing and emailing. So I'm going to put you back in the lobby, but Nancy and I will talk about how do you go about creating an event like that and what are the steps. So thank you for joining us, Ariana. That was great.
All right. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye-bye. So Nancy, how do you feel about if someone wants to create a pilgrimage or this kind of event? What are sort of the steps to get that going for your tip of the week?
For the tip of the week, I mean, the first thing is always be true to your goal of it. Know what you want to have. And in an Ariana, she's really about holding the space and bringing out that healing energy and nurturing people through the spiritual journey of it. So I think if you're really clear on the goal, you're going to attract a lot more of the right people to you. And then it is about, taking action. Nothing happens until you put it down on paper when you're going to go, what's going to happen, who's next, and then you look for ways to fill the event. And it's so important to find ways. Your email list is going to be critical as always, because sometimes people can't make it this time, but they can make it the next time. And if you always know where they're going next and how important it is to your goal and your planning, getting people on that list, whether it's through Facebook groups or anything, communicating with them regularly, and just starting the conversation. As you saw listening to Ariana, she knows what it's like, and she can really tap into those kind of spiritual things and emotional side to help you get the most of that kind of journey. So having a clear purpose and a way to connect with your audience is the biggest way to fill your events.
Yeah. And I think one of the best steps to do, like if you're going to create something like this, that's kind of, inner and religious or spiritual, you get your website, you get your Facebook account, your Facebook page, your email list, but then find places to go share your story. Right? And create if you don't have anywhere, pardon me?
Look at you getting all logical and step by step.
I know. That's your fault. But then also, like, if so obviously Women Talk is a place where you can come and share your story. But if not, there's a million restaurants with private, well, maybe not a million, I
There's a
like
lot.
there's a lot with private dining room. So, for example, Ariana would put an event where come and join me. I will share a story of Mary Magdalene. That would really bring people in, right? Or she does it at Women Talk, which I would absolutely love. And she has, and I hope that she does it again. But yeah, because storytelling is one of the most powerful thing you can do. And when you share a story the way Ariana did with, Mary Magdalene at the foot of Jesus dying on the cross, that totally changed my perspective. And although I'm not a religious person, all of a sudden I'm thinking, wow, that changed how I feel about the whole thing. And I want to go on a pilgrimage like that to find out more about this woman.
Awesome. Yeah.
And that's very powerful. So story sharing is one of the most powerful thing you could ever do. And on that note, I would like to invite people to come and share their stories at Women Talk because it is so powerful. And our next big event, we're going to have 15 women sharing their stories. And that's in Fernie on October 13th.
April, not October.
I have no clue where that came from.
I was doing February last week.
Thank God you're here. So April 13th, if you're not going with Ariana, maybe you want to come and join us in Fernie, and we are going to have some amazing stories. I just interviewed the most amazing 24-year-old yesterday. She is from Fernie. She's going to be sharing her story, and she was put through the foster parent thing, and her parents, I think, had like the most grounded 24-year-old I had ever seen. I said to her, you better be prepared to have like a whole bunch of baby boomers and Gen Xers goo-goo guying over you because you are amazing for a 24-year-old. So go and check it out. womentalk.ca/Fernie. Come and join us because it is going to be amazing. And Nancy, you're going to be sharing a story.
I am.
And it's a story of being kidnapped by an escape.
Being held hostage by an escaped murderer from Kingston Penitentiary.
It's like, oh my God, this is going to be unbelievable. You guys, so come and join us. It's a 3-hour drive, 2.5 if you're driving with me to Fernie. And thank you. I'm just going to bring Ariana on board again just to say goodbye and thank you. Thank you for joining us, Ariana. That was absolutely fabulous.
Well, thank you. And having ever spoken at Women Talk before, I know the power of the story and the amazing how people are inspired by ordinary people sharing extraordinary stories.
Oh, look at you go. Boom! Thank you very much, ladies, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.